Alright, hey everybody, this is video 2. We're in our limits and derivatives unit and we're going to be working with limits using tables. So have your class note sheet available. It says making tables and limits with tables at the top. And you're going to want your graphing calculators. It's going to make this entirely much more simple. So have those two things ready and we'll get started. Alright, first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our calculators to be ready for this. You are going to have to be comfortable to go back and forth between these two different ideas, but it shouldn't be too bad. So go ahead and start by going to Second Window. And there you'll see a couple things. I don't care where your table's starting. I don't care what your table's changing by, because you're going to change the independent. Instead of automatically filling your table with X values, we are going to ask what values we want. So this gives you a way to customize your table. So maybe you only want to look at x equals 7 and x equals 405, and you don't want to have to scroll between 7 and 405. So this way we're able to tell it what values we want in our table. So let's go ahead then and start the first example, and I'll show you exactly where this gets used. If you ever want it to automatically fill your table of values because you want to take a look at every value between 7 and 405, then you would just go back and change this to auto, and it would automatically give you every value you're looking for. Okay, so the first example here, we have f of x equals 2x squared minus 4x plus 5. Go ahead right now and enter that into your y equals. It should be in y1. You want to make sure that none of the plots at the top have a dark box around them. If they do, go back and unhighlight them, because that's going to screw everything up. And you also want to make sure that none of your other y values are filled. So you can scroll all the way down so that only y1 has something in it. So I'm going to enter the 2x squared minus 4x plus 5 into the graphing calculator, and then I'm going to hit the table. And I'll notice that in my table I have absolutely no values. That's because we are going to get to choose those values. So the values I want to choose are, we are going to be looking at these values, and we're going to be looking specifically at what happens in the middle of those values. So go ahead and type in x equals 0.9, hit enter, and then 0.99 and 0.999. And then you're going to type in 1.001, 1.01, and 1.1. And what we're going to be looking at in the middle here, so I have 3.02, 3.0002, 3, 3.0002, and 3.02. Now if you were to go ahead and arrow up to the 0.99 and then move over, so you're now highlighting the y value that says 3, so you're highlighting this value in your calculator. Looking at the bottom, it says y1 equals 3.000002. But in the column it just says 3. Here's the reason. Not enough room to put all those zeros in. So it rounds and it says, well, heck, if I only have this much space, I'm only going to show the rounding to that spot, and it's 3. Alright, so as we're looking this, is if my x's are getting really close to the value of 1, my y values are getting really close to the value of 3. What we've just done is we've done the limit of our function as x approaches 1. So my x value is getting close to 1. My y value is 3. Let's try the next one. Go back to y equals, clear out y1, and please enter this. Be careful, because in your denominator you must use parentheses. So you're going to do 1 divided by and then parentheses 2x minus 4. You're going to go ahead and go to your second table, and you can just delete all those values out by using the delete key, which is up next to the arrows, and this time enter in negative 0.01, negative 0.001, negative 0.0001, and so on, completing this table. I'll give you a moment to Okay, so we should have these values across our y chart. So these are the y values that we found. Now what I'm looking at is as my x values are getting really close to, they're getting really close to 0, or my x values there. So my limit of f of x is approaching 0. Okay, so as x is approaching 0, and why I say 0 is because my negative and my positive are opposites. So on either side of the number line of opposite values, I'm actually getting closer to 0. What's happening to my y values is I'm actually approaching negative 0.25. Again, you can arrow up and you can see that it's not exactly at negative 0.25 when you highlight these y values in your column, but it's really, really close to that. So that's what we're looking at, is what is it approaching, and it's negative 0.25. Alright, for my next one, I want to go back and change my mode to radians. So just click on mode and go down to radians, and then you can go back to y equals, clear out what you've got in there, and enter this in your x column, and then complete your y column. Alright, so what you'll see is this, and I'm going to write exactly what it says, and it says negative 1 e to the negative 3. Now that means negative 1 times 10 to the negative third, whereas the other one says 1 times 10 to the negative third. Well, if I'm using negative 3, then I'm actually moving my decimal place back, so if you arrow up and take a look at it, it actually says negative 9. Well, what is that actually approaching? It's actually approaching 0. We're approaching 0. Now, that might be harder to take a look at, so if we need to talk about that one in class, we definitely can. Maybe you can even ask someone on Schoology to help explain it to you, but we'll talk about it more together. Alright, next one. Now this one's just reading the table. We don't even need our calculator for this. In fact, I haven't actually given you any functions f of x. I've not told you what they are. I don't know if they're polynomials or rationals or piecewise or sine. I have no idea. But as we look at our tables, we're going to say as x approaches 5, as my x values get closer to 5, my y values get closer to 12 in this case. Well, they're not numbered. The second one, as x is approaching negative 2, so we're approaching negative 2 here in the middle, my y values are approaching 8. As we approach 4 on this chart, so my x values are getting closer to 4, my y values are closer to 1.5, 1.5. Let's try the next one. Now the next one, I didn't choose any x values for you, and I'd like you to choose them with me. I'll help you and show you how we're going to choose them. But I would like to take a look and fill in values because I'm approaching 4. So this time I'm going to work my way out from my table. So I want these to be really, really close to 4. But I want them to be on either side of 4. So perhaps 3.999. Now if I have 3 decimals on this side, I'd like to complete 3 decimal places on the other side. And then I'll take them away. So 3.99 and then maybe 3.9. On the other side, I'm going to move further away, so I'm at 4.01 and 4.1. From this point, all you're going to do is substitute those values into your graphing calculator. Don't forget to enter this into your y equals screen. You'll need to use parentheses on both the numerator and the denominator. So let's take a moment and try that one. Okay, so once I've completed my table of values, the question is, what is f of x as x approaches 4? So as my x values get closer to 4, what are the y values getting close to? And in this case, it's 6. Okay, so let's do the next one. I want to approach 25. So I want to look at numbers that are around 25. So we'll do 24.999, 24.99, and 24.9. On the other side, I want to be a little bit bigger, 25.001, 25.01, and 25.1. This time when you enter this, please be careful of where your parentheses are for this one. Go ahead and try it and then check back to see that we filled in our table the same way. Alright, so as our x values are approaching 25, we notice something interesting happening with my y values, my f of x values. So I say, well, these are getting really small. In fact, they're going closer and closer. I don't know, they're getting really big, but in the negative direction. But on the other side, these are going towards the positive direction. So if I were to think about the picture, my x value is doing this over here, and they're doing this on that side. So I don't know that they're actually approaching the same place, if they're getting closer to the same value. So I'm actually going to say that this limit does not exist, because they are not going to meet here in the middle. Alright, let's try one more. So I want to approach the value of 3. So I want 2.999, 2.99, and 2.9. On the other side, 3.001, 3.01, and 3.1. Go ahead and try this one. Your y equals is just a 7. Alright, what you notice is as we're getting closer to 3 here in the center on the x's, what's happening in the y values is that they still stay at 7. This is a constant, which means no matter what value you're trying to approach, it's still going to be a value of 7. There's no x's that vary it, so it will remain a constant 7. Alright, so in summary, just make sure that you're entering these very carefully into your y equals screen, and that you're changing your table according to what you need to approach. When you try the next one on the first one, as you continue the others, you have sine of x divided by x. Please make sure that you close the parentheses here and that you're also still in radian mode, which you should be, and it's okay to leave it there. As far as the others go on that page, make sure you're using parentheses in both the numerator and the denominator as you enter it into your graphing calculator. So on both the numerator and the denominator. And there you go. So give those a try, and we'll talk about those when we're together.